Hey folks, hope you're doing well today. I want to introduce you to a concept of mine that involves how to successfully ideate, validate, build, and then launch products or services out into the marketplace. What some of you may not know is I'm mostly known as a finance guy. I've been in finance for 25 plus years, hundreds of millions of dollars in funding between debt and equity. I was a startup founder that had two of those startups were in the finance and fintech sector. But actually, in my day job, I'm a director at a publicly traded software company that builds software in the financial services industry. And so I lead a product team. And as part of leading a product team, I've come up with my own concept around how to come up with, build, and launch products out into the marketplace that see amazing adoption, not just a little bit of adoption here or there, but see amazing adoption. And it's by going through some steps that I call the bookends of product management. And I'm going to share this concept with you, and I'd love to see if this helps you. If you have the questions, please put them in the comments. So if you think about a bookshelf and you think about books being on that bookshelf, we generally, depending on how you display your books, particularly if they're vertical, they will fall over if you don't put some sort of bookend to hold them up. And usually you've got two bookends. You've got something on the first side holding up the books, and then something on the other side holding up the books. And in between are all the books hanging out there, and they're supported by these bookends. They're not allowed to fall over. And if you think about building a product, the bookends of product management help you do that as well. They support the product itself and make sure that it doesn't fall over, or in other words, fail when it reaches the market. So you've got your first bookend, bookend one over here. And then you've got your last bookend, bookend two over here. And in between is what I was talking about, where you're actually building your product. Now, in the first bookend, it's actually the most critical things you can do as a founder, as a business owner, is to do these steps correctly. What most people do, the reason most people fail with new products and services is because they jump straight past bookend one and go straight to bookend to the middle, and they build the product. And then if they do any of bookend two activities, they rush through those or they haven't thought about it, and it's because they don't have a deep understanding of their product or their target market, which would have occurred in bookend one. These are both critical bookends, but bookend one is the most critical because done right, it helps you avoid rushing a product to the market that maybe no one cares about, maybe no one will pay for, or even if they do, very few people do, and you've spent more time and money on getting it ready than getting it ready in the right way. So in bookend one, you've got ideation. What is ideation? It's kind of what it sounds like. It's the idea stage of a product. By the way, all of this relates to service as well. It's the idea stage of a product. You're coming up with what the product could be. You're researching it. You're thinking about the pain points it should solve, and also what pain points it shouldn't solve at an early stage. You're dreaming it up at the ideation stage. You're doing some research. You're trying to understand what other things exist in the marketplace that solve this pain point and how you can be different. In this second step in bookend one, you're validating all these things that you just discovered and all the decisions that you're starting to make. You're thinking about what the product is. You go out and validate that if you build the product to work in such a fashion, will the end users care? Will they use it? Will they enjoy it? And more importantly, will they pay for it in the way in which you've ideated it and designed it? By the way, if you'll take note, we haven't even started building the thing yet. We're coming up with the idea and we're making sure we're validating that the market cares enough to pay for it and allow you to turn it into a business and a successful product. When we escape bookend one, then we really get to where we're building. And the reason a lot of people jump ahead into this middle where they're building is because it's fun, right? It's fun to just start tinkering and to make things and to build. I do this all the time. Even though this is my profession, I have done this with plenty of products. I've just rushed off and built them without really doing the first bookend. And I'm hoping you avoid that. So in step three, we're sort of developing the product, developing the service. We're building exactly what it looks like. We're coding the solution. We're building the UI. We're coming up with what the service may offer. In the fourth phase, because you're going through that process, there's some natural iteration, hopefully. And so you may refine the product a little bit. You may refine it because of things you uncover on your own as you're building it and realize mistakes that you've made in the design, but you may also refine it because you've put the product or service in the hands of early customers. We might call those betas. And so that's the middle part. That's the books there. And then you get to the second bookend. These are all called go-to-market activities. These are all the things that you do to launch a product out into the marketplace. So maybe you do a launch announcement, a PR announcement about the product. Maybe you have built some documentation to enable your sales team to be able to properly sell the product. Things like battle cards and FAQs, those types of things. You've developed the documentation on your website that talks about what the product is. Yes, you're doing some true marketing activities. You're doing some advertising, those types of things. But it just doesn't stop with the launch. You can't just put the product out into the marketplace, run through some go-to-market activities, and then let her rip. You're also doing post-launch activities, everything that goes along with that. How do you enable sales to sell it? How do you enable your support team to support it? If it's a product that requires support, what does that look like? How do we create referenceable clients because we've put a great product out in the marketplace and we continue to support it post-launch in the way in which we want to? So I hope that concept helps you a lot. Think about, as you're building new products and services, think about slowing down your pace, not getting so excited and rushing ahead, just building something, but particularly going through that first bookend of ideation and validation. That can save you so much time and money and energy, so that when you get to the second bookend and you're doing go-to-market activities and you're taking your product or service out into the market, adoption becomes that hockey stick that you would really like to see because you've built a great product that people really care about, not just something that solves your own itch and no one else cares about, or maybe even they don't want to pay for it. The other thing I didn't mention is as part of that whole process, those bookends, you're coming up with appropriate pricing strategies. That's part of launch. You're coming up with a way in which you should price something and having great strategies, whether it's to encourage early adoption or maybe you're just focused on margins. So think about the bookends of product management when you're coming up with something. Think about this idea of all the work you need to do beforehand to get ready to come up with the right product at the right price point that solves the right pain point for your target market, and then putting it in the hands of your market with amazing activities that increase your adoption and allow you to have happy customers along the way. Hope that helps. If you have questions about the concept or even your own input into the concept, I'd love to see it. Put it in the chat. Till next time, have a great day.